General questions. We move to First Minister's questions, and I call Russell Findlay at question number 1.
Thank you, Presiding Officer. Some say the SNP government is incompetent. Some say that it's dishonest. Some say that it's sleazy. I say that it's all three. And John Swinney has been at the heart of this incompetent, dishonest and sleazy SNP government for almost 2 decades. He defended his Health Secretary for pocketing £11,000 of taxpayers' money for iPad roaming. He defended his next Health Secretary for taking taxpayer-funded limos to the football. He defended his Justice Secretary for misrepresenting a grooming gang's expert. He defended his Transport Secretaries over the corrupt Calmac ferry scandal. He defended himself for deleting his COVID-era messages to Nicola Sturgeon. So when will John Swinney start defending the interests of Scotland, not the interests of his sleazy SNP pals?
First Minister.
Sir, I defend the interests of the people of Scotland every day of my being. And having listened to Russell Findlay's poorest hits over the course of the last minute or so, I'm left wondering, why are the Conservatives going to get decimated at the forthcoming election?
Russell Findlay.
I've got plenty more on the SNP's greatest hits to come. John Swinney, he spends so much time on the moral high ground. It's a miracle that the man doesn't suffer from altitude sickness. The truth is that this jaded career This jaded career politician has become accustomed and immune to SNP dishonesty, incompetence and sleaze. His party has trashed the reputation of this Parliament, and it's the people of Scotland who suffer. John Swinney has made Scotland the highest tax part of the United Kingdom. He's made Scotland spend more on benefits than anywhere else in the UK. And that means that John Swinney is responsible for a looming £5 billion black hole in the public finances. He needs to start being honest with the people of Scotland. Tell them now, how much more tax will he take from them to tackle the SNP's £5 billion bin fire?
First Minister.
Presiding Officer, I just want to reassure Russell Findlay, in case he's worried about the energy about the next few weeks, I'm just raring to go for the forthcoming election and to win it well for Scotland. And as for all the pile of abuse that he's just spouted out, which he spouts out every week, let me just remind him what I reminded him of last week. The majority of taxpayers in Scotland pay less tax than if they lived in England under an SNP government.
Thank you.
And the international credit rating agencies complimented. They don't like this.
Let's hear one another.
Because the international credit ratings agencies complimented the prudent financial management of Scotland. And the only person that's got any explaining to do in this Parliament about their stance on fiscal recklessness is Russell Findlay for telling me to follow Liz Truss. What a disaster that was.
Russell Findlay.
A credit rating founded entirely on the fact that Scotland is a proud part of the United Kingdom. Now turning to SNP incompetence. Presiding Officer, I ask you to bear with me. It would take all day to properly address this useless government's dismal record. It would take several days. But here's a few. Classroom violence, up. Teacher numbers, down. Police stations, closed. Police officer numbers, down. Violent crime, up. Domestic violence, up. New houses, unbuilt. Major roads, unbuilt. Hospital waiting times up. GPs and dentists unavailable. Breakfasts and bikes for kids undelivered. New prisons unbuilt. Prisoners set free. Ferries broken. Pubs closing. Rural Scotland ignored. Oil workers betrayed. Women's rights trashed. Drugs deaths up. And there is so much more. And I'd like to ask John Swinney which of these he is the most ashamed of.
First Minister.
I'm left with the same question I had a moment ago. If all of that was the case, why are the Conservatives heading for a disaster at the forthcoming parliamentary election? It is because they are simply peddling a doom loop of despair, and it is killing the Conservative Party. Let me tell Russell Findlay a few things that have happened under this SNP government. When we came to office, 62% of schools were rated in a good or satisfactory condition. That's now 93%. When this government came to office, 3- and 4-year-olds got 412 hours of funded early learning and childcare. They now get 1,140 hours. When we came to office, the average number of houses of affordable homes built were 5,448. The average under this government is 7,734. And just to tell Russell Findlay something else, waiting times in this country are coming down. They're coming down because of the leadership that I've given this government. They're going to continue to come down. That's an SNP government delivering on health for the people of Scotland.
Russell Findlay.
Dearie me, all that spin from John Swinney. And as we've just heard, John Swinney will always defend SNP sleaze. He will always put up taxes to spend more money on benefits. He will never take responsibility for his long list of failures. But for John Swinney, none of this really matters, because since he was a teenager, he has only cared about one thing, and that's independence.
Thank you. Thank you.
They come to life when you talk about independence, and they sat in silence. They sat in silence when they read out the list of SNP sleaze and failure. Silence.
Let's all hear one another. There are those in the gallery who would like to be able to follow proceedings. Let's hear one another.
John Swinney goes into this election with independence again as his #1 priority. He says arrogantly that he will win a majority. He says that this will give him a green light for another referendum. People are sick and tired of this damaging and divisive obsession. They want politicians and Parliament to address their problems. The cost of living, the NHS, the economy, jobs. So why does John Swinney believe chasing independence is more important than these critical issues?
First Minister.
So this government is focused on the priorities of the people and on delivering improvements in the lives of the people of Scotland. And that's what's driven my public service for the last 29 years as a Member of Parliament. It's driven every moment of my privilege to serve the people of Scotland as a Minister and now as First Minister. And in that time, since 2007, under the SNP, wealth per head in Scotland has grown by 10.1% compared to 7.8% in the UK. We now have waiting times falling in this country. On the cost of living, we've abolished peak rail fares and we've frozen rail fares for next year. That is an SNP government delivering within our powers on the priorities that concern the people, on the NHS and on the cost of living. But people in Scotland are finding times hard because of the damaging decisions made in the United Kingdom. Whether it was austerity ushered in by the Conservatives, or whether it was Brexit forced upon us against our will by the Conservatives, all of these have damaged the quality of life of people in Scotland. And what I say to the people of Scotland is that we have an opportunity on the 7th of May to have a fresh start with independence, and I intend to deliver it.
Question.